Okay, so if you're just getting here now, I'm leaving Leominster District Court, where we just had a magistrate's hearing for a witness intimidation charge against Catherine Peter. The Holden police filed that one. I spoke as a witness. And we also had a hearing for a harassment prevention order, which I applied for as well, in order to get her to stop harassing myself and my family and putting us in imminent fear of bodily harm. Granted today. So Kate Peter now has an order, a 250 AD against her, another order against her, issued by a court for her harassing, threatening, bizarre behavior designed to put me and my family in imminent fear. So that justice was served today. Basically, the judge wasn't having it today. The judge finally said enough was enough. He knows that, he looked through my affidavit, and he actually picked out himself what he considered to be the 3 most egregious instances of her directly threatening bodily harm on me. And he read them out, and he's saying, did she say this? Yes. Do you have video of her saying it? Yes. And we presented our evidence to the court. He kind of picked what he considered the 3 most egregious things, because it has to be fear of imminent bodily harm. And she's on video threatening to physically assault me several times. Tell me, do not show up for court.
So the next court date, I would highly suggest Aiden not show up to it. It's not a threat. She is going to have protection with her this time. That woman is never going to be accosted by you in a parking lot ever again.
No, she's
ever again. Do not show up. I'm telling you, do not show up.
You're going to get hurt. You're going to bring men with me. And then I was physically assaulted. Miss Peter, any comment? Any comment? Don't fucking touch me. Miss Peter, any comment? Don't touch me. Do not touch me. Do You're going to touch me? You're on video touching me.
That's all right.
Excuse me. I have a right to walk. So you can't do that. You can't do that. Big no-no. She basically just got up there and ranted about witness intimidation, and he's being charged, and Turtle Boy's a bad person. Turtle Boy's a bad person, that she said he has more criminal charges to come. She said he's only doing this because I'm a witness for the state against him, and this is retaliation against me, and this is witness intimidation in and of itself. It just made no sense. It made no sense, and the judge cut her off several times. When we see the audio, told her, time to stop talking, you're talking too much. This person has been harassing myself and my family for quite some time, and it's just enough is enough, enough. I've ignored, I've done everything I could. I don't write about her. It's just I don't know what else to do. So she has an order, and hopefully she abides by it so that we can both move on with our lives. And Meredith Fagan was in the court. She was the one witness to all this in the court. Shout out to the 3 or 4 peaceful protesters outside that had our back. Yep. So all these posts telling me not to show up for court. And if I do show up to court, I'm going to get assaulted. And I showed up for court and I got assaulted. Miss Peter, any comment? Any comment? Don't fucking touch me. Miss Peter, any comment? Don't touch me. Do not touch me. You're going to touch me? You're on video touching me.
That's all right.
So that's basically that's what witness intimidation is. And she said, this is retaliation, and this is witness intimidation in and of itself, because she's a witness for the Commonwealth. And I'm like, what is she a witness to? And she said, I'm not a witness to anything. I pulled out the police report from the Stoughton Police Department. I'm listed as witness number 1. So I'm not, I bring receipts. So, Miss Peter, any comment? Any comment about why you violated the harassment prevention order, Miss Peter? Any comment about the criminal charges today?
The judge just said all interested parties should
I'm media. So I just have a comment. I'm here to report on a criminal matter, criminal charge. Any comment, Miss Peter?
You're a conflict, aren't you?
Excuse me? Is that a comment from the attorney? Any comment about the criminal charges? About the continued violation of the innocent victim? Where's your ring? Do you have a ring? Where's your ring? No ring, huh? So you're not married. Okay, so it's not married. What is wrong with you? Look at you. You're so mad. You're so mad.
Yeah.
You're so mad.
I'm real mad.
Oh, I know you are.
Not as big a loser as this one. By him? I wonder if he's gonna beat you too, like the other one. He'll be in jail if beat you too, like that's gonna stink. That baby won't have a dad. All the time.
Baby won't have a
Camera on your
dad.
phone. Look at this. Look. All the time. You're fucking loser. You gotta be a fucking loser too. Like that's gonna stink. That baby won't have a dad. All the time. You had your fucking camera on your phone. Look at this. Look.
Wow, we were just trying to leave and go to our car, and they're all coming up to us. Well, wait. Oh my god.
You fucking maggot.
Oh my god.
You're a fucking maggot.
Put down on your fucking
Oh shit. Oh, we have all of this on for the blog.
Brother, we're gonna call the Canton police right now. Let's see what happens. We got that
Oh
on
my
video,
god.
right?
He just not.
We got that on video, right? We got that on video, Jimmy.
Thank you. What's your
That
name in
wasn't
case we
smart,
need
brother.
another witness to this?
Smart, Jimmy boy.
What a deep fucking hit.
All right.
How'd you pay your tax bill?
All right, so we're down here
I
at
don't
Sea of
know a small
McCarthy's.
like you.
Talk all that shit about me. Put down your phone and have a conversation.
Who are you?
Who am I? You know who the fuck I am.
Listen,
Who am I?
Which one are you?
You don't know who I am?
Which one's that?
what? I think
Put down your fucking phone.
he's the older Albert. Chris
The mustache?
Albert Jr., I think, right?
Oh, Albert Jr.? Is that, oh, gotcha. I didn't. The mustache. You guys seem really intimidated. You guys seem really intimidated. You guys seem really intimidated. And do what? I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to scare him. I don't want to intimidate him. I don't want to intimidate him. I don't want to scare you guys. I don't want to scare you guys. I know you guys are really scared of me.
Angela Box is one of our most outspoken political analysts.
Filthy leftist stalkers out there, welcome back to my channel, where I always say what you were thinking. A lot of these things come back to what the Democrat Party has done to the black community.
It took an Anglo-Saxon looking woman to set everybody straight. Hair, blue eyes.
Hello, my name is Angela Box. Hey guys, I'm super excited to bring you this interview today with Kate Peter, who is the creator of Masshole Mafia. And she may be even more obsessed with the Karen Reed trial than I am. And I am late to the party. So I am really excited to talk to her. Someone who's on the ground, someone from Massachusetts, someone who knows this case inside out. And I promise you, if you're following this case at all, you are not going to want to miss this interview. Hang on. Okay, as promised, you guys, I'm super excited to talk to someone on the ground of this Karen Reed trial, shenanigans, everything. Her name is Kate Peter. She has a fantastic fantastic X account called Masshole Mafia. I had seen the documentary A Body in the Snow.
Yes.
And I was like, I came out of that going, okay, there were some weird things, but I was like, leaning towards the prosecution. I was like, it's too much of a convoluted conspiracy, right? But the second trial, as it's going on, I'm like, oh my God, her attorneys are like the biggest assholes I've ever seen. So I'm like, let me go back and watch the first trial. Shocked, I tell you, shocked. So I'm going on X and I'm looking at all the free Karen Reed people. I'm like, what is wrong with these people? These people are like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And these two ladies, I have to give a shout out to Jams and Mama Llama, which I don't know if you know who they are.
They're
they were
personal
my
friends.
they're
both.
yours?
Yeah, they are friends of mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, let me like, I don't know how, I just started following them and retweeting them and stuff like that. And I believe it was Mama Llama, who's a nurse in Massachusetts, because I was like, are you one of you local? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, you need to watch this girl's YouTube. So last night I went into the rabbit hole. I went to the Masshole Mafia rabbit hole because I was like, this Turtle Boy character's crazy. Like the whole thing. Can you please give us a summation of how you got involved in this and who Turtle Boy is? We're going to start with Turtle Boy before we get into the crazy case because it's wild.
Sure. So Turtle Boy is the nom de plume for a local blogger here in Massachusetts. His name is Aiden Carney. He is a former school teacher who started a blog.
Don't worry, my camera's been freezing up. You can keep going. I'm going to try and get back on.
so he started a blog, and I believe at first he endeavored to cover like sports, national sports, and that didn't really work out for him that well. So he found that what he could do was make somewhat of a living finding people and criticizing them, and the criticism quickly turned into what some have described as just harassment, abuse.
It's beyond harassment. It's like violent, evil stuff. Like, what is wrong with this person?
Well, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't. I have my suspicions, but he's definitely got some narcissistic traits, to put that mildly. Right.
Why he likes Karen.
Right. Well, birds of a feather.
Yeah. Birds of a feather.
So he was struggling to blog. I started writing for him in, I want to say September of 2018. And I came on board. I was familiar with the blog.
Why is he called Turtle Boy?
So he is originally from Worcester, Massachusetts, which is a city out here with a bit of a reputation for being kind of rough. And one of the landmarks in Worcester, Massachusetts is this statue. And it's a statue that looks like a boy copulating with a turtle.
It's a statue in Worcester?
That looks like a boy that's kind of, holding a turtle and or copulating.
Okay.
So that's what he named himself after. And so he starts this blog. It's supposed to be a sports blog. That doesn't quite work out. So he goes over to just targeting people instead and writing sort of like local gossip stories, right? So if I didn't like you, I could write to Turtle Boy and say, hey, I know this Angela woman. She's got a lot of dirt. You should look into her. I'm going to give you all of her pictures. I'm going to tell you unflattering things about her, and he'll write it in the blog. And then it's sort
like
of
private citizens.
Oh yeah. We're usually people that are probably not having a great time with their lives anyway, historically speaking anyway. So like drug addicts, single moms, minorities. He did a little bit, he dipped his toes into sort of like conservative talking points for a while, and did try to do the whole political commentary thing. The problem with him is that he kind of goes where the wind blows, as we'll see in Karen Reed. So the ideology is not really that firm. So he claims to be a conservative against cancel culture, for instance. That was a big thing when I was still there. We were supposed to be fighting back against cancel culture. And meanwhile, he uses this online mob that he creates to regularly employ cancel culture.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That he doesn't like. Right. I don't think that we have to look at things as sides all the time, though, because not everything goes down a political line here, right? Like, so I kind of fall outside of all that.
Yeah.
We were discussing earlier. I don't consider myself very liberal, but I also don't consider myself super conservative either. Somewhere in the middle. I like government like I like my men, reduced to just basic functions, pretty much, right? I like a small government, right, with a lot of personal liberty. So certainly some people that are MAGA that have fallen into this, but there are equally as many people that are really liberal white women in particular.
Yeah, that's why I said like they're like Antifa or Antifa adjacent, because their tactics are very Antifa-like. If you think of it.
Have adopted and just accepted as like, this is how we fight battles now, and it's completely uncivilized and it's harmful and it's destructive. All right, and there's no
mean.
I don't. Listen. We're American citizens. We have the right in this country to be mean.
Yeah,
you can be mean. You can be mean online. You can be mean. Conversations can get heated. I love free speech. I'm, not quite. I wouldn't call myself a free speech absolutist, because there are words that I like to just leave behind. Not a fan of the N-word. Not a fan of the F word.
Hey, faggot, I can see that you can post my voicemails on your Twitter because you're a bitch. Why can't you face a female? I am not afraid of you. I never witness intimidated you. You're not a witness in any case. You're just a small-dicked fucking faggot.
Not a fan of the F word.
But likes to prey on women. Call me back, motherfucker. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what you did to Lindsay. Let's talk about what you did to John McCabe. Let's talk about what you did to Colin Albert, a 19-year-old juvenile. Let's talk about it, Aiden. Why are you so afraid of I know that you're not. You just want to self-victimize. But how's your wife doing, by the way? How are your abused and neglected children doing, by the way? Call me back, you fucking faggot.
Not a fan of the F word.
I'll drive over to your parents' house right now. Fuck you.
You know, stuff like that. But for the most part, say what you want to say, right? And if you do use those words, far be it from me to tell you any different, right?
Yeah, it's like if you want to do that, I mean, knock yourself out. It's like
it's not a crime, right?
It's not our cup of tea.
But this takes it a step further, what they're doing, right? This takes it, so it's no longer just words on the internet. Now we see actions behind it locally. So we have mobs that show up at places, business, homes, children's sporting events, the whole 9 yards.
And it's not just that they show up, it's that this Turtle Boy character has kind of like, I feel like really Karen and her attorneys working with this guy, I feel like what they're doing is borderline evil because they're not telling the truth about this case. She's feeding tidbits to Turtle Boy, and then Turtle Boy is going and sending his minions out, his flying monkeys out.
Right.
To not just like ask people questions, but to like torture these people.
Yep. And I mean, so I am very well acquainted with the witnesses in this case in particular, right?
Yeah.
So I get like a front row seat to a lot of the harassment that they receive, and it is just as awful as you think it is. Almost daily at this point. Sometimes it spikes up real high, but there's always sort of this homeostasis, this equilibrium of like baseline harassment that occurs every day. Driving by their homes, driving by their businesses, yelling at them, leaving things at their doorsteps, writing letters, emails, text messages. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And it's pretty relentless.
So for people who don't know this case like we do, give me the genesis of what is FKR?
Sure.
What do they think actually happened? And then we'll talk about the real evidence in the case because it's nothing like these people think it is. There's just all kinds of shenanigans today. Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So FKR, Free Karen Read. It popped up on the scene about April 2023. And, Turtle Boy, who we've been discussing, was spearheading this. Early on, I was alerted to this by some subscribers of mine for my YouTube channel, but this is usually not my preferred subject matter. I'm not really a true crime person per se, although maybe that's changing now because of what I've seen in this case. But at the time, I certainly was not.
Yeah.
So I was alerted to it because I have that contentious former professional relationship with Turtle Boy. And
which, if you need to go watch her channel to the deep dives that she does about this guy. Excellent work.
Thank you. Their beliefs are pretty screwy. So they're a group that is dedicated to not freeing this woman, because let's be clear, she's never been incarcerated, right? I think she may have sat in jail for a night during one of her until she could get to the judge in the morning. And I'm honestly not sure if it wasn't overnight because they may have bailed her out.
Yeah, it was like a couple of hours, at least in the documentary.
Right. Yeah. So they say free, but we don't really have to free her here. She's been free the whole time.
Woman at the Quincy Memorial Day Parade yelled, "Remember to free Karen Read" at Michael Morrissey as he walked by getting exercise for the first time in at least a year, Aiden Carney said. Morrissey yelled back, "She is free, by the way." Morrissey has refused to hold a press conference with anyone in the media since indicting Karen Read.
Be nice to free Karen Read! She's not free! You know that?
Is that gross or what? It's so gross.
But regardless,
and her parents are paying for the defense, right? Or they were initially.
So
Mommy and Daddy have some enabling issues, in my humble opinion.
I would agree. So by the time that Free Karen Read, this movement starts building, we know that her legal fees have been paid. Okay, which is important because they're raising money. I always say it's kind of ironic.
She's all paid up. Alessi's paid. Little's paid.
It depends which version you get from them. I find it ironic that they kind of appropriated the Black Lives Matter logo Because one thing that I would say that Free Karen Reed and Black Lives Matter have in common is some really shady financial impropriety, right?
Oh, we talk about this on the show all the time.
Yeah. So it's confusing because they're raising millions of dollars potentially. We don't even know how much they've actually raised. I know that she lives very luxuriously for a woman essentially on the dole right now. She stays in upscale hotels. She goes out to eat. And she's seen at least 3-4 times a week at very, very, very high scale establishments. You know, she shows up to court in these blacked out SUVs, the Suburbans, apparently a limo. Right. You know, she's wearing a new outfit, designer outfit every single day. Just, you know, it's sort of like the girl at the welfare office that pulls up in a Mercedes Benz, right?
Yeah, the reason we are here, and this is what's so fascinating, is Karen Reed is an in denial alcoholic, and she doesn't want to admit she has a drinking problem.
Right.
And so it's wild to me that when she's out in the wild, people are snapping pictures of her, you know, her and Alan Jackson, who have a rumored relationship.
It's odd the way they're out together all the time.
They're out. She's a narcissist too, like 100%. And at first, I mean, she's a latent one, I think, at the beginning, but now as time goes on, like, she's loving this. She's loving it.
She is. And so we do suspect that some of that money that's being raised is being expended to, you know, through Free Karen Reed to prop up her lifestyle, to let her feel like a celebrity, as well as, I don't know if you're familiar with this term, but it's a term called astroturfing.
Yes. Yeah.
So like the 90s, the Clintons, you know, like usually used in politics.
Yeah.
We suspect that it may be used here. And what we look at really.
Are you saying that perhaps some of that money that's being raised is sent to these YouTubers and reporters?
Not necessarily just that. Not necessarily that, you know, but the supporters outside of the courthouse.
Really?
I was down there during the first trial. Later on towards deliberations. As soon as the first trial ended, her brother comes out and starts begging for more money, more aggressively, right? Asking people to short their groceries or, you know, forego a pizza on Friday. Yes, I have the clips. So yeah. So Bentley is where Karen Reed's father was the dean. That's where she went to school, and it's where she had her adjunct professor position. She taught a Thursday night class.
So she was kind of a nepo baby. That's also the
100%. 100%. Yeah. And that really shines through, I think.
And this is why it's so crazy, because the whole FKR movement is based on complete innuendo and connecting dots that just make absolutely no sense. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what's hilarious to me is that the Dr. Russell, the dog bite lady who's not an expert in dog bite, she's just like, I'm just a doctor who likes dogs. Like, that's basically was her resume. Like, what's wild is that she's like, yeah, I called the DA in LA, and it's like, who just so happens to be Alan Jackson's wife.
Right. So Free Karen Reed comes around, and they are fueled by rumors. Exactly right. So essentially what they do is they start to identify every single state's witness or potential state's witness against Karen Reed and implicate them in this murder that they've created. So,
and I think the second degree murder comes from the infotainment, the her backing up at 74% throttle, 26 miles an hour into John. Like, that's where the second degree murder comes from.
Because there's a third prong there that's essentially, it's very, very parallel to the manslaughter, and that it's contingent on this like reckless negligence.
Okay.
You were very detailed about who was there. It was you, it was Jen, it was my client, Karen Reed, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
You were so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes.
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying, is that right?
Yes.
And the actual words used. You were as detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, and then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You will agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that.
The answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm not a trick question, what you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason you did that, the reason that you said that false statement, was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Object.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer that.
Nobody told me to say it. I knew it happened at that time,
How did you
which
know
is
it
why I
happened?
said it.
How did you know it happened, Miss Roberts, if no one told you it happened?
Because we wrote a timeline. We already spoke about
So
that.
the timeline that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct? Obviously.
So what happens with the free Karen Reed, and we know at this point, spoiler alert, that Karen Reed is actually behind free Karen Reed. She's running the show back there. You know, yeah, oh, yeah. So she's communicating with Turtle Boy, who's writing all these blogs and doing these videos and whipping up this fervor. She's giving him information. She's telling him what to say. She's telling him what not to say. She's telling him what to post. She's telling him who to go after. She's giving up witness addresses, names, biographical information. Phone
That's
numbers.
where she's screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but on the surface, in the beginning, the public doesn't know this. So as far as they know, Turtle Boy is just this wonderful independent journalist who just came across the story all on his own and just has a lot of sources everywhere that are telling him all this stuff that just happens to always be angled at the criminal defendant, right?
Look at that frozen camera, this stupid thing. I'll be honest, I don't watch every defense cross or direct examination from them because I find them so unbelievably obnoxious. Like I say that Alisi, like the boot polish in his hair is like seeping into his brain. Alan Jackson has like lady levels of Botox. Okay. Like it is, I can see it I'm like, you have no 11s and no forehead lines and you're 60. Like, please spare me. And then bless her heart, Lisa Little with her correct and her little rabbit teeth. Like I can't listen to it. I can't do it. Tell everybody the Brian Higgins piece of this and who is Brian Higgins, and again, just dragging these people through the mud. It's so great. That's why I think this is so fascinating to people, is because like it's not just that she gets to have a defense, but what she's doing is evil. It's evil what she's doing.
She definitely doesn't have a lot of regard for these people who were part of her social circle, which I think is kind of even more shocking about it. So Brian Higgins, ATF agent, he's still on the job. He is a Marine, so he's a veteran. He actually received some commendation at some point for saving a colleague's life. And he was also a neighbor and acquaintance of John O'Keefe's. So at some point, Karen Reed, for about 2 weeks, engages in this flirtatious back and forth with Brian Higgins, and it culminates in like kissing him unprompted at John's house one night as she's walking him out. Wanted him to go to her house, and he kind of blew her off about that. And then one night she was out in Boston, and he lived in West Roxbury, I believe, at the time, so like a suburb of Boston.
Hey, man, what's up, guys? Kevin from South Boston.
What's up, Kevin from Southie? What's happening?
No, listen, I appreciate the things that you two do, you and James, right? But let me ask you something. Those two dudes that you're accusing, right? They're decorated dudes. What happens? Like, can you look at this from both sides? And this comes out that she actually did it. Are you ready to, like, put it out there that you were wrong?
You sound like Higgins, bro.
You wrong.
Is this Higgins?
Is this Higgins?
You wrong.
You're Higgins.
Kevin Elbit.
Kevin from South Boston.
Kevin Elbit.
Kevin from South Boston.
Kevin. Boston Police.
South Boston.
Boston Police.
South Boston.
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 Boston. Boston. Boston.
Put it out there.
I have a house there.
Put it out there.
I have a house there.
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 You
Yo,
wrong?
you suck.
Absolutely not correct. That's wrong. You
Yo,
wrong?
you suck.
Absolutely not correct. That's wrong.
Yo, you
Wrong.
Yo, you
Wrong.
Yo, you
And on her way home to Mansfield, she stopped at his house.
She is shady.
Right.
Why do you think that they did not? Because in the first trial, well, I when we were chatting earlier, I totally see what your point is about, because I'm in the middle of watching Brian Albert getting cross-examined by lady levels of Botox, Alan Jackson, and I'm just again shocked at the
So
level.
you must be watching the first trial then.
Yeah, the first trial. But you were like, I was like, I really, I wanted to hear from the Sullivan sisters again, who were in Aruba with the Aruba debacle when she thought.
And, I think that was a possibility because I know Laura Sullivan. I've gotten to know her. And so we text sometimes, and she hasn't been watching at all because she was on the list, and she was under the impression at one point that they were going to call her, and then they just never did. So, but Aruba did come in. It came in through John's minor niece, right? So she's a very difficult person and a very controlling person and a very angry person. She's not always nice. That's something that I don't think a lot of people socially saw with her when she was with John, but John certainly saw it, and the niece and nephew certainly saw it. And now these people that are part of this Free Karen Reed that are in her inner circle helping her essentially try to get away with murder, they're able to see that too. But she's just not a very nice person, very controlling, very demanding. Yeah, insecure, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, and in denial alcoholic. So the witnesses that and I'm not going to have you name them. I don't want them to get any
Pretty
more.
much everybody.
Well, when you tell them, and I will hope you share this with them because this is from someone in Houston, Texas, who again was on the prosecution side after a body in the snow. But I know what I want to talk to you about. The Turtle Boy thing in the Body in the Snow documentary, they didn't portray him as an unhinged lunatic. And then I was watching your coverage of the things he said. Like, y'all, this guy is like diabolically psychotic. Like he's got a screw loose. Like there's something wrong with this guy. You can see that Michael Moriarty is that press conference he gave when he was like, what you guys are doing is evil.
Michael Morrissey. Yep.
Michael Morrissey.
Along with everything else, they call me for thinking that Karen Reed is guilty in opposing Turtle Boy and all this stuff going on. I've been called a turf.
Oh,
for another day. Right?
Hey,
yeah.
Kate, you win.
Yeah, right. Right. But I mean, just like I've been called racist, which is like absolutely not. I'm offended on behalf of most economically disadvantaged minority people that Karen Reed gets all this privilege, right? And most criminal defendants do not.
If this was a black defendant, well, first of all, we'd never hear about it. Second of all, they would have pled. Like it's like this wouldn't have been a thing at all.
Right. Well, I mean, a certain type of black, because there are wealthy black, it's kind of on a continuum with this.
How big is Canton? How big is it?
That's a really good question. It's a small town.
Is it like a suburb of Boston?
No, it's its own town.
Okay.
It's its own town. It's sort of in between Boston and really like going into the South Shore. So yeah, it's got a population of just under 25,000 people. So it's
pretty small. It's pretty small.
It's a small town. It's a nice town. It's an affluent town. It's very, very East Coast America. When you think of a New England town, you're thinking of a town like Canton. That's just generally how that goes. So it's a nice place. And
nice.
They had the Alberts that got dragged into this, of course, because it was Brian Albert's home where John was found deceased. And Brian Albert has a brother, Chris Albert. Chris Albert was not very involved. He saw John O'Keefe at the bar briefly. He went home. He did not go to his brother's house with everybody else afterwards. He went to bed, end of story. He knew John. He was friends with John. but he was also running for select board after John O'Keefe passed away. And he beat this woman named Lisa Lopez, who was a very, very left-wing candidate. And Lisa Lopez was very upset about this, as were her supporters. They don't want Chris Albert on the select board. They want liberal Lisa Lopez. So when the Free Karen Reed fervor started and everybody's really turning on the Alberts, Lisa Lopez and her supporters kind of capitalized on this as a way to try to force Chris Albert out of office, off the select board. So that's why you'll see, up until today even, sort of a huge instance of harassment towards Chris Albert.
2 weeks before I was arrested, Chris Albert applied for a harassment prevention order against me and was denied on First Amendment grounds. The same judge who arraigned me on October 11th said my speech towards Chris was protected because it lacked true threats and fighting words.
Because it's not just the Free Karen Reed thing. There's also a political subplot here, kind of an undercurrent, right? And so they've used this as license to make things as uncomfortable for Chris Albert and his family as possible so that he will leave the select board. And I can certainly show you pictures. There's videos everywhere. They stand outside of his business all the time with big signs.
And shows up at one of my select board meetings 2 days prior to harassing me at my place of employment, where I try to provide for my family and make a living, and then standing 3 feet behind my ear, sticking up the middle finger to me and getting it within 2 feet of my ear and filming it. I would say that clearly falls under harassment. And I'm, at any given moment, he could have reached forward and grabbed me. He didn't, but he could have.
Let me just tell you what I tell everybody. And I'm listening, and I'm keeping an open mind. I'm just saying, as I read the affidavit, the case law is against you, but I'm keeping an open mind. You say that it's harassment. It is under the Webster Dictionary, harassment. Under Mass General Laws, Chapter 258E, though, even the middle finger is speech. Emails are speech. Speech is speech, obviously. Anything like that. And the case law is pretty clear.
Say Chris
And
Albert,
he's got the pizza parlor, right?
Right. He's a local business owner. They've dug some dirt up on him in his past. He's not perfect. Who is?
Chris Albert was convicted for killing Peter Berger in a drunk driving hit and run in 1994 and served 6 months in jail.
Right.
Who is?
Right. Who is? And they've gone after his wife, his sons, his business.
Calling my cell phone, calling my store phone, then in turn, it's causing his people to pile on and to call my store, call my cell phone, make threats against me, make harassment against me.
Threats? What threat?
Well, people will call up and they'll say stuff like, you're going to hell, you're going to jail.
His business has been affected by this, which is insane. Why are you hurting a business owner in your own town? That's your town economy, but that's what they're doing. And so, what you see with the Free Karen Reed is that on the surface, it's all about Karen Reed, but you can see how people capitalized on this to feed their own interests too.
And it's the level of intensity of her supporters. It's, people on the side of, I guess, in my opinion, logic are like, we're not, banging the pots and pans, like demanding the heads of all these people that are involved in the FKR or her attorneys, or we just want to see justice done for this man who was hit either intentionally or on accident and left to die in hypothermia. Like that's all people on our side want. Just this guy to have some justice, and for this woman to, pay for what she's done. No one is saying, "Oh, let's throw her in jail for the rest of her life."
Well,
however,
they might.
That's what I'm saying. Like at this point, I've heard the judge has to have security 24/7. I've heard that Hank Brennan is having his tires slashed.
Correct.
The intensity is very strange to me. And like the people on her side, like when you bring up data and logic, and these are the things, and there's no bank records, there's no phone records, there's no communications of anybody, like, talk, like it's completely improbable. Aren't Karen and Aiden Kearney, Turtle Boy, aren't they communicating on Signal? So speaking of people who are having a little conspiracy, they're having a little conspiracy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, there is still a possibility that the two of them are going to be indicted together on conspiracy charges.
Which would be so delicious.
I think it's probably coming. There was, certainly some roadblocks put up by Turtle Boy in his defense to getting into all of Turtle Boy's cellular devices and doing the search, but that has been resolved now. So they are moving forward with the taint team procedure, which will then result in the police having the contents of his phone with a couple attorney-client privilege messages redacted.
You know,
So
it's
at that
funny
point-
listening to him whine about them getting his phone. He's like, why do you have to have my messages? Like, well, what? Like you're giving an anal exam for no reason to innocent witnesses who are just telling what they saw. And you're wondering why they have to get in your phone as you're intimidating people. Not just this case, but there's another young lady that you did a video on that he was involved with a romantic relationship that he's also charged with extortion and blackmail. And I mean, he's just
that's witness intimidation and wiretapping. Correct. There's a long list. You know, the women angle is probably another topic for another day. I'm certainly happy to continue to talk to you.
I would love to have you back. And before we leave, I would just like to say that, you know, I have many, many problems.
Hey guys, it's me. It is 5 o'clock. Oh my God, the light. It's 5 o'clock in the morning right now, and I am actually in my car about to go home. I did something overnight that's going to really upset the turtle cult, which makes me happy. But my point of this video is actually to inform everybody that I will be making a return to streaming with Boomer this week. I just had a project that I had to wrap up, and it's pretty well wrapped up for the time being, so we will be back. We have a lot to talk about, so if you're not part of a turtle cult, I hope to see you on the channel soon for our first live stream back in 5 months. Bye guys.
Faggot.
Not a fan of the F word.
It's Kate Peter, you know, Krusty Panties, how you call it. I just wanted to let you know, every time you get a block number, it's not Lindsay or LG or anyone else, it's me. And I just want to let you know that when you go back to jail, I had absolutely everything to fucking do with it, because you're a dumb motherfucker, right? And every time that you victimize a female, I'm going to be right there pushing back. I just want you to know that. So you just on your fucking live show, I am going to get the best of you. You're a bad person, and everybody's going to see it. Have a nice day. By the way, Karen Reed wants nothing to do with you. Go fuck yourself, bitch. I meant it.